Good morning, good afternoon to everybody joining us from around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Morning, evening, night. Payments are still here, right, Andrew?
They are. They never sleep.
They never sleep.
But thank you for everybody tuning in right now or catching this on the replay. You're joining Jacob and myself from Team IXOPAY, and we're going to be discussing all things ROI of payment orchestration today.
Well, we're not going to hit them all, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's so much that goes into it. But I think, Andrew, the one thing that we're going to hit on is the high level and the functionality, what an ROI calculator can look like.
We can speak ad nauseum. Yeah, we can make this as complicated as we can. Don't worry.
We could be here for days, and I don't think anybody wants to listen to a 24-hour LinkedIn Live or webinar.
Hey, I could listen to you all day on LinkedIn, JB.
Absolutely. Well, let's kind of introduce ourselves real quick, and then introduce the ROI calculator as well, the star of the show. So I'll kick things off. My name is Jacob Boggess. I've been here at IXOPAY for around 3 years now. I'm a payments specialist working with our accounts for product strategy, adoption, and commercialization in their strategies as well. So Andrew, throw it over to you.
Yeah, Andrew Sjogren, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing over here at IXOPAY. So spend a lot of time working between departments as opposed to just as how closely Jacob works with our customers and prospects. So he'll be much more of that voice of customer, voice of prospect, and trying to break the model that we've spent so long working on over the past quarter or two.
Yeah, and I think, Andrew, the one thing that we can point out is that a lot of this ROI calculator is built with the customer and or prospect in mind. It was something, a bit of a passion project for you and I that we started earlier this year, and I think it's good for us to finally be able to debut this to the masses and say, hey, this is what we think you should be looking for once you are evaluating that payment orchestration.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's hop into it.
So designing this ROI calculator, the first thing that we had to do was distinguish between what I'll call hard ROI categories. Those are things that are easily quantifiable or that we can make reasonable estimates around cost savings or increased conversion or increased acceptance rates around. And then a lot of those soft elements like kind of the bottom line plays around operational efficiency, accelerating time to market, things like that, just accelerating growth. And so this really does focus on those hard categories, the things that we could give meaningful and substantiated estimates around. And so when building this calculator, as we joked about a minute ago, we could have made this as complicated as you can imagine, like eyes glazing over complicated in terms of all the information we were asking. But we were making a conscious effort to have this be as easy and approachable for any users, regardless of how experienced they are in the payment space. So in terms of the fields, you can see just some basic questions about the currency, estimated total payments volume, around how many transactions you are, backing out an average transaction size. And then even as you go through here and see things like your currency conversion rates or some of these decline code pieces, we went back and forth on including those, but ended up keeping them in just so you can play with them. So even if you're not exactly sure about what your decline codes are, you can just play with some of these levers. And we put some reasonable estimates of, for all else being equal, what the average dispersion would be between hard and soft declines here. And then only just a couple questions about the size of your vault, whether you're using or eligible for account update or network tokens, and then just a few other pieces here.
Yeah, and Andrew, at the end of the day, I think what a lot of ROI calculators out there do is they try to do too much at first, because we're trying to just get an initial, is payment orchestration even for me, even for my company? And I think right now what we're showing is that this is that first initial idea, and this gives you the ability to come in and kind of like that no strings attached and say, hey, ABC leadership team, we have the opportunity to increase our revenue by this. I think we should explore this. I think this is going to be a much better tool for merchants out there that are curious about what payment orchestration can be for them.
Yeah. So enough theory crafting. Why don't we just jump into an example here?
I think that's going to be a great example. So what we did here, everybody, is that we came up with 3 companies, 3 merchants, company A, company B, company C. Right now, we're going to focus on company A. They are an e-commerce platform or e-commerce merchant, based in North America. They have plans to expand into LATAM and the EU. So already have some issues there in the complexity of what their payments are going to look like from point A to point B. So total processing volume is around 125 million, just keeping numbers nice and even and clean. Their total number of transactions are around 1 million. And then their current approval rate is 82%. And so what is company A looking to do? They want this global scalability, right? They're going to have cross-border complexities. They're going to be working with different regional acquirers, payment processors, in their current processor today in North America may not have the same approval rates in the EU or in LATAM. So this is a great use case for them to say, hey, we want to have a local processor in these different regions to improve our authorization rates and to also offer some local payment methods as well. So the challenges obviously are going to be the cross-border approval rates, local payment methods, like I mentioned earlier, a little bit of fraud exposure, as always, when we're going cross-border, and then the operational overhead to make this work, make this happen. Opportunities here for them are going to be recovered revenue from declined transactions with the local processor. They're going to have lower cross-border fees. They're going to be able to dynamically control their risk. And then they're also going to be able to reduce their spend in operations. So let's get back over to the ROI calculator. Let's put these numbers in. We've got what we say 125 million in total payments volume, 100 or 1 million transactions. So it puts you at about a $125 average transaction size with that current approval rate at 82%. Let's Andrew, let's play around with the hard decline and soft decline. Maybe we're sitting at about 40 60 hard, or you got it right there. So we can just play around with it, and we can maybe play on with merchant B as well.
Yeah, and we'll give just a quick assessment. So around hard declines are going to be a door that no matter how many times you knock on it, it's never going to open. That is a closed account at the end, or that card number that you're using is just not correct and is always going to be declined, as opposed to a soft decline, which is going to be really any decline code that could be retrieved, where the underlying card account is actually open. And this could include insufficient funds, where if you tried the exact same transaction a week later, it would go through. It could be that it is tripping a fraud check, and that at any of the levels that you can think of. It could be just a generic decline code, like the famous Visa DNH or do not honor, which really doesn't tell you anything. So that's just the quick info on what we're getting at here.
Absolutely. And on those cross-border and requires currency conversion, let's make those match at 5%.
Okay. Yeah, it's really the Eurozone, where you'd see cross-border that is, but with lower currency conversion rates, right? I'm trying to think of what region that.
Yeah, and then as this is an e-commerce merchant, likely don't need to focus too much on cards on file. Maybe they're storing them, maybe they're not. We don't know at this moment if they're doing these subscriptions. So we're not going to really focus too much on that, but it still will pump out a number for those specific values. Current payment methods used. Let's do digital wallets. And for right now, I would imagine, let's do buy now, pay later as well. They may not be doing account to account.
You're putting a lot of your Taylor Swift purchases on BNPL, I think, since their credit cards are maxed out right now.
those T-Swift tickets aren't too cheap nowadays. Awesome. Well, I think we can likely go ahead and calculate this and see what we get out there.
Okay. So looking back down, we remembered that this was a $125 million merchant in terms of top line.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we jump down to see how we put together these ROI estimates, we've divided it into 3 categories. One is the transaction routing and retry, which is a catch-all for how we can direct payments, either with looking up the details of that payment method and forwarding that to the most appropriate processor for it. It involves things like optimizing for both currency conversion costs as well as cross-border providers. You've probably seen processing partners that specialize in cross-border payments or have a broad local acquiring network. And so these are the little channels that are all wrapped up into transaction routing and retry, as well as creating that retry logic, where if you run into a down or unresponsive gateway or receive a soft decline code, how can you retry that transaction for and retrieve the transaction if it fails in the first attempt?
Yeah, and not to mention alternative payment methods too, Andrew, and being able to dynamically show. You're not going to show somebody in North America a PIX. You're not going to show anybody in the EU a PIX. You might show them something that is regional to them, but at the end of the day, you're going to increase your conversions because you are dynamically showing that consumer what they want to see when it comes to a payment method. As for me, I'm a big fan of Apple Pay. It's the easiest one for me. I double click this button on the side of my phone twice, and it has my address and everything. I don't have to do anything else. But for PIX in Brazil, everybody's wanting to use that just because that is the payment method, and that's what everybody uses now. So being able to show that and also having that conversion rate in mind of, oh, when we go here, we will see X amount of additional transactions because we can show these payment methods.
So moving left to right, in the middle category, we have network tokens, where and you may be familiar with them as an alternative to your normal PSP payment token. You may be using them already, but especially if you have repeat customers, if you have customers making multiple transactions with a card on file, network tokens can offer a higher acceptance rates and lower costs, depending on your region and the nature of the transaction, but absolutely worth a look if you're keeping cards on file. And then on the far right, you can just see account updater, the ROI of paying for a service that keeps those cards up to date regularly, so that customers aren't manually re-entering card details, that you're keeping your vault fresh and making it as easy as possible on your customer base to buy your goods or services.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from this merchant's perspective, I think you can see a pretty good ROI there, at least just on the transaction routing and retry. The one thing that I always, and I think that you and I were screaming from the rooftops from the beginning, is that you can see the ROI immediately with this ROI calculator. And it's not something that, hey, we will send you an email or somebody will reach out to contact you, because at the end of the day, this is just for that idea creation of, can this be, is there an ROI attainable for us at company A?
And one other thing to note is that looking at this, we did not go out and look for the best cherry-picked research to plug in coefficients and ROI modifiers for all this. As you continue to work with us, we'll show you exactly how we backed into these figures, but we also want to acknowledge that this isn't necessarily a 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 here, that if you're implementing both network tokens and account updater, it's probably not going to be the sum total of account updater and network tokens that you see, but there will certainly be values added in each of those categories. but those two Venn diagrams might overlap a little bit. So some of the value you'd see from account updater is reflected in network tokens. And if network tokens give you a higher acceptance rates, then that would lower your number of declines on the left category. So just bear with us as we have a little bit of buffer in all these, because we also didn't want to take away any of the one or minimize the value you could get in a single category if that's really what you're after and interested in exploring here.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe we have another merchant that we can run through this, and they do have these subscription based. Yeah, company B. We may not make it to company C here, folks, but we'll try. Andrew and I, as you can tell, like to dive deeper than what we typically anticipate. But company B, it's an interesting one. SaaS, B2C, subscription based in the United Kingdom. Their goal is to fix retry logic and revenue retention. Total processing volume, much smaller than company A at 40 million, only 3 million transactions per year, but that approval rate is at 76%. So they'd like to see that raise just a little bit. So their biggest issue, the retry logic and revenue retention. The merchant is struggling with subscription drop-off, soft declines. ROI is probably going to be found in improved recovery strategies, count updater, network token. That's why I put this one in here, so we could hit on the full ROI calculator. Even a 2 to 3% uplift in authorization rate is going to be a massive impact for their business from a revenue perspective. Challenges, they're high declines, involuntary churn. That's what network tokens and card account update are going to help them solve. And then their suboptimal retry logic. Maybe they just try it every 15 days for 60 days, and then that's done. Maybe their dunning logic isn't set up too well. So we're going to, what they can do with this payment orchestration is soft decline recovery, reduction of churn through network tokens or card account updater. And then they're going to have this dynamic recovery logic with multiple PSPs behind it to see if they can recover some of this revenue that they're missing out on. Okay.
So started dropping some of those inputs in just off the bat. You see that average transaction size is a lot smaller. Maybe being a global SaaS firm in the UK, they're dealing with more cross-border transactions, more currency conversions if they're selling to Euro and USD merchants, perhaps. And let's see if we wanted to say.
We said they have around 3 million. Let's say they've got 30,000 cards on file or something like that. 3 million would be impressive.
Yeah. Big.
Let's also go back up to those soft declines. Let's kind of bump that up, because that's going to be that's one of their biggest issues, right? So maybe we do a 50-50 split of soft and hard declines.
Let's see. And especially that would make sense with some higher cross-border transactions, right? Cross-border transactions tend to cost more because they're dealing with the issuer and the acquirer in different jurisdictions, different geos. And so they're just going to be that much more cagey about approving the transaction. Plus, there are all sorts of relationships between bins that we, even as payment professionals, are completely blind to, and you just don't know how a particular acquirer and a particular issuer, what their transaction history looks like, whether they're a little more risk averse or friendly between them, and that's one of the unknowns that orchestration can control for, especially around the retries and the strategic routing.
Yeah, awesome. Good insight there, Andrew.
Yeah, just something like that.
Virtual wallet, and don't need to hit the.
I imagine you'd be buying too much software with gift cards. But,
might be if you are a software out there accepting gift cards, we might need to do a bin blocking strategy for you guys. Okay. And the thing, and what we need to point out here, Andrew, is that it automatically went to euros for you.
GBP,
Mm-hmm.
if please. But yeah, exactly. So if we think back on the first case, that was about maybe an 8% bump in top line. And now, if you remember, this was a $40 million business, and you're looking at closer to 10%, a little north. And again, we know that sometimes these can look overly optimistic, and that there will be some redundancy in it. But the point is to start the conversation. And on the second call that we have, as you're looking into these, we can show you how we backed into these numbers. We can show you where the potential redundancies might exist, and we can help you to triage the developments that you can integrate to get the most bang for not just your buck, but your time.
Yeah. And the one thing that a merchant or platform can go out there and do is take this data and say, I need to be looking at my data even more. And, oh, we do have X amount of soft declines, or, oh, we do have this amount of cross-border payment fees. And you can kind of back yourself into this ROI, or even see a larger one, or maybe you see a smaller one too. But at the end of the day, like you said, Andrew, from a 40 million to 4 million ROI, that's enough to kind of get the conversation started of, I think this is something that we can evaluate. I think this is something that will help me at company B, whoever they might be, in something that can really make an impact on just bottom line revenue and make investors happy. That's where we're all at.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could be responding to this as a customer saying, hey, we've already got the most sophisticated account updater setup you can imagine. We are not interested in network tokens one little bit. Mm-hmm. But this still interests me. Like, tell me how you can optimize my cross-border payments. So this can really be a choose your own adventure, and we're happy on these direct calls to explore any one of these components you see. You can play when you're on a call with our teams here. You can see and play with every single modifier that we've used. You can see each of the segments that we've calculated with our transaction routing and retry here, and have some fun with it.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that everybody should take away from this is that payments are just not a one size fits all operation, and it's gonna differ from everybody, from merchant to merchant, platform to platform, even processor to processor, who's using kind of this as a white label gateway to get to multiple acquirers. Taking this and understanding that, hey, my business can benefit from the payment orchestration, from an IXOPAY, from a network token, from a card account updater, somebody that can help me optimize my strategy. Maybe I'm a little bit green to payments, or maybe I've been in payments for 100 years and I've just been doing it the exact same way since I started. This kind of gives you that idea generator of, oh, this is something that we need to take a look at. And I think once everybody has that and understands that just because a payment processor says that you need to do it this way, or you've been taught that you need to do it this way, once you truly understand the data behind your business, you're going to make great payments decisions and truly increase your revenue through payments and make a profit center, not a cost center anymore.
Yeah. There's a Seneca quote I love where he says, it's not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Mm-hmm. So jump in, see what's available here, because we know how complex it can get, and from an implementation and a conceptual standpoint. But once you start making this real, as we're hopefully getting you to start thinking about with this tool, then you can start putting it to work for your business and
absolutely
results.
Yeah, and we 100% encourage you to throw your numbers in there. You don't even have to throw your numbers in there, but throw some in there. Run an ROI. Let us know what you get. Andrew and I are always happy to jam with you on payments. At the end of the day, that's our life. So we do it every single day. Don't hate to make friends. And Andrew has the the form up here. If you want to get with our team and learn even more, if you just want to reach out to Andrew or I, we can definitely help connect you with them as well.
Yeah, you only pop on our radar once you fill this one out, so you can have some fun with the light version that we showed today, and when you're ready for the detailed one, we're waiting on the other end of the line.
Absolutely. Well, awesome, Andrew. I think once again, always good to jam on payments on a Thursday, Wednesday, or whenever you're watching this video.
Tough week, huh, Jacob?
Tough week. It's been a fun one here from a technology perspective. But yeah, this was fun. Always love to get to chat with you, even though we get to chat multiple times a week. Whenever we get to put it on video and send it out to the masses, it can't be better than that.
Yeah, check this out. We'll make sure that that this is linked up whenever you're watching this, and appreciate you guys tuning in. Check it out, and let us know what you come up with.
Yeah. See you guys.